Hello and welcome to the Mike Leaf Show one last time for the regular season. As it's hard to believe, Coach, but the basketball season, the postseason's almost upon us. And if Charles Dickens was a sports writer covering your team right now, he might have started one of his stories from this weekend. It was the best of times and it was the worst of times. A nice win Friday night over Minnesota State Moorhead, a game where it really looked like things kind of fell into place. Then fall the next night to Minnesota Crookston. So another one of those up and down weekends for the Warrior basketball team.
You're scaring me.
Charles
Dickens?
Most people don't know that I know who he is.
I tell you, we actually played an excellent basketball game against Moorhead. And the biggest thing about it was we played really solid defense. We played it for 40 minutes. They had a little run in the second half, but we responded and played really, really well. We rebounded well, and it was like, yeah, that's what we needed for the weekend start. Let's continue it in the next the next night. And I told this to the Daily News, and I was actually speechless after the game. We lost to a Crookston team. We basically led the entire game. But it came down to crunch time, and people didn't step up, and we ended up missing a ton of shots. I think we shot 17 point some percent from the 3-point line for the game. We did a nice job rebounding, but I tell you, that first half, I mean, we were like, I want to say 1 for 12 from the 3-point line, and our shooting was just terrible. And but you're going to have some nights where it's like that, but then you're going to pick it up on the defensive end. 2 huge areas. We did not stop anybody defensively taking the ball to the basket, and we need to contain on that. And then secondly, the last 5 minutes of play, we didn't rebound. And we let them back in the game, and they took advantage of us, of our weaknesses there. And, it was a stun. It really stunned us. And, hopefully that's going to spark us for this coming weekend.
It seems to be a little bit of a pattern in the last couple games, not shooting the ball, especially from outside, at a very high percentage. Is that just legs starting to get tired, after a long season? Or can you put a finger to what's...
I can't. And I had a conversation with Anthony Tucker today, and he hasn't been shooting the ball very well. I think it's just a matter of having that confidence, and we're going to do a lot of shooting now here in the next couple days to prepare for the weekend. But you look at it from a standpoint where you're in 4th place still. Mm-hmm. You're half a game ahead of Concordia. Destiny is in your hands. You win these 2 games this weekend, and you're going to get a home court advantage for the playoffs. So we're still in a position where we can do some decent things. We just got to correct some things. So we've changed. We're changing our defense a little bit this week, and we're going to try a couple new things. You're going to see a tweak in the lineup, and we just got to have a spark. That's what we need. And
with the type of shooters that you have on this team, you talked about Anthony Tucker, Ben Fisher, Jon Walburg, Brad Meyer, Xavier Humphrey, the list goes on and on. It has to be just a matter of time before those starts that are rimming out right now start finding the bottom of the net.
Absolutely. There's no question about it. And I have all the trust and belief in these guys that anyone would have. And I'm surprised myself. But I really do believe, the presence inside, we can score inside, we can shoot the ball from the outside, we can penetrate and shoot pull-up jumpers. It's crunch time right now. Like I said, on Monday morning's practice was we got 4 days to prepare for 2 tough ball games. Obviously very meaningful, but you know what? You got to stay positive, and I really believe that. I worked for Les Whitkey for 6 years, and he taught me that very, very well. Sometimes you're going to have down times, you're going to have down seasons. You got to stay positive, get after it, and good things will happen. And these guys work hard, so I really believe good things will happen.
And you mentioned there might be a lineup tweak for this weekend. Tweak the lineup last weekend, bringing Anthony Tucker, Clayton Vetty, guys like that in off the bench. And it seemed to really spark the way on Friday night. I got some really great energy out of guys like Jordan Fisher, who started the game. What was kind of the thought process behind that one?
Well, the thing is that we were, we needed to change up a little bit, and I had spoken with Anthony Tucker, and he had said, you know what, it might not be a bad idea bringing me off the bench. And we actually looked at it from a standpoint that, you know, you're going into this game, a team that had beaten us at home. I think that they were shocked with the lineup with 10 minutes, you know, before the game starts, and then they've got to make some adjustments. And, you know, those guys still got into the game within 2 to 3 minutes. And but you know, it's just a matter of you know, Jordan Fisher's been hustling and working really extremely hard in practice, and it was time to give him a little bit of a shot. And he gets us a lot of offensive rebounds. He's a good defensive player, and I think this weekend he will. I think he really will play extremely well because of the fact that he's now getting a little bit more experience. He's got quickness, and he can do some good things. He was a heck of a high school player.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he's a great athlete. And another asset that you have back now is Brad Meyer, and he'll be playing his final weekend or final regular season weekend as a Warrior in McCown Gymnasium this weekend coming up. Nice to have a guy like that who has a great outside shot and brings a lot of hustle and real desire to the floor back in your lineup.
Oh, absolutely. He had a great game against Moorhead, you know, and it wasn't so much his shooting abilities, but we know he can knock him down. But, I mean, he can take on a guy that's, you know, 6'8", 6'9", but he will battle to the bitter end. And we were just watching game film the last couple days, and it was so apparent with Brad Meyer in the lineup. When he's in the game, he really brings that spark and energy. So we're glad to have him back. He's finally 100%. On Saturday against Crookston, he didn't play as much. I think Friday really took its toll, and it was like he wasn't fully 100%. But now he's gone through practices this week, and you know, by this weekend he'll be ready to go. And he does some great things. He's a great young man. And
he was in the gym early this morning, getting some extra shots in. Said it was nice to finally be able to just go out on the court and put up a few shots and not have to worry about the knee.
Oh, you betcha. And you know, he's a young man that, you know, we bring this up. He came into our program, and you know, he was someone who really had to move up the ladder. And there was a point in time where it was like, maybe I shouldn't be playing anymore. And you know, we encouraged him and said, no, you got the abilities, just keep working in the off season. And boy, it certainly has paid off, and you know, he's been a great inspiration for our younger guys.
Mm-hmm. And couldn't have a nicer guy. And it helps a Winona kid here on the floor here at McCown Gymnasium. That's always nice.
And he's got what a wonderful family. Yep. What a wonderful family. And like I said, he's got a great work ethic, and you know, his peers really look up to him.
Mm-hmm. Coach Leaf will be back on the Mike Leaf Show here in just a few minutes. But next, Jon Walburg, the Warrior Junior sharpshooter, is going to sit down with Matt Prink, talk a little bit about this final weekend coming up here.
For the best cars, best prices, and best people, get your hoops on the sunny side of Highway 61, Sugarloaf Ford Lincoln Mercury. And speaking of hoops, 3 lucky fans will be drawn in the second half of each game for a chance at a half-court shot, the last home game to win a brand new 2011...
Welcome back to the Mike Leaf Show. I'm joined now by Jon Walburg, junior forward on the Winona State basketball team, better known as Wally. We like to refer to you on the radio. And, you know, a tough weekend, but a great win. We'll talk a little bit about Moorhead. Your team had 43 bench points. You started in the basketball game, and you guys did extremely well. You led all 40 minutes of the basketball game.
Yeah, I mean, 43 bench points. I mean, when Tucker and Vetty are coming off the bench, that's pretty good production, you know. With the 5 guys that are out there, and then you got a whole new group that usually starts, I'll take that team any day. So
yeah, you guys came off, I mean, right away, off the bat, a lot of energy. Jordan Fisher into the starting lineup. Him, working with his brother Ben. Right off, a great job shooting the basketball, but struggled in the second half. How did you guys overcome your shooting woes to still win by 15-plus points?
We just hustled. I mean, we out-hustled Moorhead. We knew that they beat us the first time on our floor, so we just wanted to get out there. I mean, we rebounded the ball well. We played help defense really well. I mean, we've been breaking down tape this week, and it really comes through that our help defense was there, our energy was there, and rebounding.
We look quickly at Saturday night then up in Crookston, and it's not an easy road trip to go on. You travel up 8+ hours, even further north up there on the Minnesota border. What maybe didn't happen against Crookston that you guys did against Moorhead?
We just seemed slow, really. I mean, breaking down tape again, we weren't running the floor very well. I guess we were rebounding still pretty well, but down the wire we were turning the ball over, and it just comes down to hustle again.
Yeah, and you guys kept with the different starting lineup. Betty, again, monstrous off the bench, but Xavier Humphrey, a guy that was coming off the bench as well. He had 11 points in both games. Coming down the stretch now here, as you welcome in Duluth and Bemidji, you guys, a little vengeance for UMD again, as you guys lost by 3 up there, 75-72. What have you guys tried to really reiterate in practice this week, welcoming in the Bulldogs?
A lot of dribble penetration. We have to stop that, so we're kind of mixing up our defense a little bit. We're just getting on the help side a lot more. And Duluth is a physical team, so we just got to rebound. We got to box out even harder. We got to push and shove, whatever it takes down low to get the ball.
You've been here. You've been an adamant part of some successes in the past years. What do you feel this team really needs to find coming down these final games to make a run in the NSIC tournament?
We've struggled at times with chemistry. I mean, we don't know who we want taking the ball. We know who we want taking the ball to the hole and shooting and stuff, but at certain times we just need to slow down a little bit. I think we get in such a rush that we just start jacking up too many shots. As a team, we shoot too many threes, and we're not shooting a good percentage, so maybe we need to do something different there, but a lot of it just comes down to chemistry, knowing where other people are on the floor and stuff like that. All
right, well, let's get to know Jon Walburg a little better. Straight out of Hartley, Iowa, a guy, Grant Wahl, our sports information director, a big Iowa State guy, but where does your allegiance lie? Hawkeyes or the Cyclones?
I'm definitely a Hawkeye fan. I know quite a few people that play football there, and even some playing basketball there now. So their basketball team is turning around, actually. They stuck with Ohio State, I guess it was, but they're getting there.
All right. Do you prefer Katy Perry or Kesha maybe on your iPod?
Neither, but if I had to pick one, I'd pick Katy Perry.
All right, very nice. If you could grow up, it's retro night. I'm sporting my retro look. If you weren't playing in the game this Friday night, what would you wear to maybe capture the retro look?
Well, first of all, I'd be on the front row, one of those maniacs right there with my short shorts, tight jersey, and maybe an afro with a little headband, tie-dye or something like that.
If we're lucky, maybe Steve Carley will be picking out his fro on Friday night. Take a look at that if you come out to the game courtside. All right, in your iPod, maybe what is the top artist that you would consider retro, maybe from the 70s, 80s? Can't really consider 90s retro yet.
I'd go with some Biggie Smalls. I still listen to that once in a while.
Here we go. Do you listen to that maybe pregame ever?
Once in a while. Not so much.
All right, if you could grow up in another decade, what would it be?
Oh, boy. Maybe the 70s or 80s with the afro, short shorts, high knee socks.
Well, thanks, Jon, for joining us here on the Mike Leaf Show. Good luck this weekend, and hopefully we'll make a run here in this last couple of games and in the NSIC tournament.
Awesome.
Coming up next on the Mike Leaf Show, Grant Wahl will rejoin me, and we'll talk a little bit about this past weekend and take a look ahead at the rest of the season.
Tune in to KQAL 89.5 FM for all football, men's and women's basketball games, home and away, or visit the Athletics website to listen live. The Warrior Weekly Review is on the air. Check KQAL 89.5 FM or the Athletics website under the Multimedia tab. Hear from Winona State coaches and catch up on all Warrior action. WSU and HBC present Show Us Your Duck. Show your duck at participating businesses and get all kinds of discounts. And you keep the duck to use all year. Visit my.hbci.com/duck for discounts and details.
See what a smile can do.
At Hy-Vee, your health is what matters most.
That's why we offer hundreds of organic and heart-healthy foods.
Expertise in disease management and over 100 in-store dietitians.
See what a smile.
We'll customize a diet and exercise program for you and your family.
We're your personal health team, here to keep you healthy and happy.
There's a helpful smile in every eye.
We're back on the Mike Leaf Show here on the Warrior Sports Network. Grant Wahl joined by an especially dapper-looking Matt Prink, already getting ready for Retro Night this weekend here at McCown Gymnasium. I know that you are extremely excited. What type of look are you going for here?
You know, I'm not sure. It's the nicest suit I have. It was $7, so I figured it'd be a good time to bust it out and get out the word for this weekend's big games. So.
$7, really breaking the bank.
From the great state of Iowa.
Hey.
A lot of good things coming out of Iowa.
Good things come from Iowa. Jon
Exactly.
Walburg, one of them, just had him on the show.
There you go.
How about that for a transition? We're going into the final weekend of the regular season here, NSIC basketball. 2 games, Minnesota-Duluth on Friday, Bemidji State on Saturday. 2 quality opponents. Their records aren't stellar necessarily, but 2 very good opponents that the Warriors have to really prepare themselves for.
Yeah, you look at that UMD team that ever since that game that they beat Winona State, you know, they started off atop the NSIC and have plummeted ever since. But once again, in the NSIC, you got to throw the records out the door. Bemidji State, a team that historically has played very well at McCown Gymnasium, so you can't take them lightly, especially when you're in the position that Winona State is, still at 4th position. You know, certainly can still host a home game, but you'd like to win out heading into the conference tournament and get hot at the right time.
And heading into the last weekend of play, you know exactly where you stand. As you mentioned, the Warriors are 4th in the league. They have a 1-game lead in the loss column over Concordia St. Paul and St. Cloud State. So one of those teams will lose and be eliminated from any hosting scenarios. But the Warriors know that they have to win this weekend or they face the chance of going on the road for a first-round conference tournament game.
Well, and absolutely, you look, you know, you hate to take too far of a look at who will play who in the NSIC tournament, but a team like St. Cloud, you've beaten them twice, and that's great, but a team like that, I don't think you want to face them 3 times. Concordia St. Paul, you know, the conference tournament will be there, so do you want to play them on their home court with the fan base up there? You're not so sure about that, but one thing is for certain, you want to get rolling. You want to, you know, start winning basketball games back to back and putting it all together here and trying to make your case for that regional tournament. Absolutely,
and once we get on the court, we saw the Warriors shake up the lineup a little bit this past weekend, winning at MSU Moorhead on Friday night, losing against Minnesota Crookston on Saturday night, bringing guys like Anthony Tucker and Clayton Vetty in off the bench. You were there for both of those games. Did you see anything different both in the guys who were starting out the game, a lot of energy, and then those guys like Tucker and Vetty once they came in off the bench?
Well, certainly I saw, what a weekend by Xavier Humphrey. He still came off the bench, a guy that could easily crack a lot of starting lineups, and he had 11 points in both games, was running the floor very well. I thought he was our best transitional threat. His ability to finish is just uncanny. Somehow he wills his body, and a great weekend by him. Jordan Fisher, we certainly saw his high-flying ability up at Crookston and Moorhead. You know what you're going to get out of him, and it's absolute 100% effort. A guy like Jon Walburg, also a guy who can start, had a very solid weekend as well. And, you know, it was a good shakeup because it certainly got the guys going on Friday night against Moorhead. 43 points off the bench. You know, Clayton Vetty chips in 11, Anthony Tucker 11, Joel Armstrong. The list goes on, and really a great performance on Friday night, especially against Moorhead.
And we can't end the segment without talking a little bit more about Xavier Humphrey, a guy who has really gone under the radar when you look at the guards that Winona State has with Ben Fisher, Anthony Tucker, Jon Walburg, guys who get the majority of the minutes. But he's a guy, when he gets in the game, he really makes the most of his opportunities.
Yeah, and I mean, there's you can call a lot of players flashy players, but I think the best thing about X, we call him Professor X, because he has that calm demeanor to him, and he catches it on the wing. He doesn't have a lot of turnovers. He doesn't force a lot of shots, but if he's open, you better believe he's going to take that big shot. He's also very clutch from the free throw line. We saw that against Concordia, and has been doing a great job just getting to the free throw line and sticking around underneath amongst the tall trees. He seems to always come up with some key rebounds. So, this team still trying to figure it out. One win, one loss, one win, one loss. Certainly that can all change come here late in the season.
And Xavier is just a sophomore, and so lots of time for him to still grow and develop as a player. So that's definitely an exciting thing for the future of Warrior basketball as well. We will be back on the Mike Leaf Show after this quick break. Coach Leaf will join me again. We'll talk a little bit more about this upcoming weekend and senior night, a special night for 3 Warriors.
Power, intensity, courage, teamwork, reaching back for more, knowing you're a champion. That's our purple. Winona State Athletics. Find your.
Looking for great off-campus housing? Great River Management and Sales has a large selection of houses and apartments representing many of Winona's property owners. Owners and renters rely on Great River Management. Stop by the Great River Boat at Main and Broadway and see what we can do for you.
Welcome back to the Mike Leaf Show on the Warrior Sports Network. Grant Wahl, as always, Coach Leaf. And Coach, talked about it a little bit earlier, touched on it. 2 games this weekend, and you are still sitting in a spot where destiny is in your own hands. Have a half-game lead, 1 game up in the loss column on both Concordia St. Paul and St. Cloud State, 2 teams who play each other this weekend. But if you take care of business here on your home court here in McCowan Gymnasium, it's a home first-round game in the NSIC tournament for you.
Absolutely, and there's nothing better than playing McCowan Gym, and the support that we get here is just tremendous. So, that's motivation in itself, and playing 2 teams that are playing pretty well, and Duluth has struggled mid-season. Now they're back in form. A Bemidji team that's got a lot of good athletes, and it's going to be a tough weekend, but we just got to play great defense and rebound, and the shots are going to fall, and I really do believe that, and so we just got to take care of business.
Defense is going to be tested, especially by a Bemidji team. They have 5 guys averaging double figures. We touched on this a few weeks ago when you went up against another very balanced, very deep team, but not one person you can key on with this Bemidji team, but a whole group of players who really contribute.
You bet. And I think the biggest key for us on this weekend is not to give up dribble penetration. And that's what we've been working on, and we will continue through this week's worth of practices. But no dribble penetration. We got to be physical on the boards. We've got some officials that are going to let you play, and this time of year they always do. Yep. You get into the tournament, and if you're lucky enough to get into the regional, it's always so physical. So we've got to play physical. We've got to push, shove, hand check. You got to be crafty.
Yep.
But you got to do it, and that's what we have to do. But take away dribble penetration and make sure that we rebound.
And a Minnesota Duluth team, they handed you your first loss of the season back in December, but another team that is very, very talented. Their record doesn't show it necessarily, had a couple little dips in the season,
right,
but a talented opponent that can sneak up and take out anyone in the conference.
Yeah, the biggest thing about Duluth is that they always recruit size,
Yep.
and they're always big, and even their guards are big. They've got Rasmussen at the point that's he's really, really tough, and Ben Fisher is going to have his hands full, but he'll rise to the occasion. I really believe that. You're a senior, and you're an upperclassman. This is the weekend where we got to win them to stay at home. So that's motivation enough. I really believe. We got our parents coming to town for Parents' Night on Saturday, and so I really do. I think we're going to be ready to play against 2 tough opponents, and we're going to play very well.
And you mentioned parents in town, Parents' Night. It's senior night as well here at McCowan. 3 guys on your team, Ben Fisher, Brad Meyer, and Bryce Welch. 3 seniors who have been through everything with this Warrior team, come in, are part of a national championship team as freshmen. What are your thoughts about those 3 as they play their final weekend series here at home in Winona?
Well, number one is that all 3 of them are tremendous young men. And, they've done such great things for us. And I feel bad for Bryce spraining his ankle, up at Moorhead. And he hit a huge 3 for us at a time in the game when we needed one.
Yep. And
we really were moving him up the ladder for us to come off the bench because he's been shooting the ball so well. And guy comes down on his ankle and bang, he's out. And, it's a day-to-day thing and might be good this weekend. But all 3 of them, just tremendous young men. And I got to go back to Bryce. We win the 08 national championship, and he's the guy that had the ball that threw it up into the rafters, and he had said that was one of the highlights of his basketball career, even though he played just a few minutes. But, Brad's come a long way. He's done some wonderful things for us, obviously, and he's playing really well right now, and we look for some good things for him this weekend. And Ben Fisher, he's just a tremendous player, great scorer. We've seen that he broke the all-time assist record, and he's just a great person as well. And it's one of those things where I don't dwell upon until the end of the year, but certainly 3 guys that I'm going to miss tremendously because they have great character.
Absolutely, and when you stay just looking at what they've done on the court, Ben Fisher, the only player in school history with 1,000 points and 600 assists, one of 4 with 1,000 points and 500 assists. And when you look at some of those, all-time lists, there are some unbelievable names, and he's right up there with a lot of them.
Oh, no question. And to be able to do that, and I remember when, Zach Malvick had gotten into that group, and it just astounds you that you're able to do both of those things. And I think that, our coaching staff has done a nice job finding guards, those players that can do more than just pass or more than just score. And, Ben's been a great inspiration and a great leader on our basketball team, and he's not done yet.
Yeah, but hopefully we'll send him out in a great way in grand fashion this weekend. 2 games. Again, Friday night, Minnesota Duluth. Saturday night, Bemidji State here at McCowan. It's going to be a great weekend closing out the regular season, and then we'll see where the postseason takes us. For Mike Leaf, I'm Grant Wahl. Matt Prink joined us as well. Thanks very much for watching here on the Warrior Sports Network.